Guys, so recently I've asked to review a little bit more makeup products and actually do a primer list of my favorite primers. So today I'm going to work on primers, and then hopefully next week I'll do my favorite foundations. So I've divided the primers into two lists. One for dry skin types and one for types of skin that's a little bit on the more oily, hydrated side, where you want something that's a little bit lighter, more mattifying, and not so hydrating. So I'm going to start out with the oily skin list. Okay, first up, we've got the Good Molecules Silicone-Free Priming Moisturizer. This one actually works well as a moisturizer. I was really big into primers when I first started getting into makeup. However, since I started getting into makeup, I got more into skincare than I did into makeup. Skincare just takes priority. So I'm a little bit more into sunscreens, and sunscreens have become a key part to my routine and the only anti-aging product that really exists. So primers and sunscreens don't necessarily always get along. So when I default to the sunscreen. If you're going to use a sunscreen and a primer in your routine, I highly recommend applying the primer first, then the sunscreen. The sunscreen should always be the last product you apply, unless you apply foundation over it. So if you're going to use a primer, there's discussion all the time. Can you use a primer over a sunscreen? A lot of people say yes. However, depending on the ingredients, it will and can dilute the effectiveness of the sunscreen, which, especially when it's very sunny out, you don't want to mess with. So something like this is wonderful because it works just like a moisturizer, and you put your sunscreen right over it, and then foundation. So this one's a nice one. No silicones, no fragrance in it, and pretty darn affordable. So always use your sunscreen as the last step, unless, I don't know. I won't say unless, but anyway. Okay, next up, the Hello Fab Pores Be Gone Matte Primer. This one is pretty nice. It's kind of mattifying. It blurs pores a bit. They still make it. It's not the most affordable product, but it's a really nice one. It works well for a lot of people, and they also have a primer that will be on the dry skin list as well. Next up, newer product from Peach and Lily. This is their Pore Shield Primer. Skin Shield Blurring Primer. This one is really nice. It's a little bit pricey, but it really does a good job priming the skin and kind of allowing foundation to kind of stack right over it, kind of blurs it a little bit. Other primers from like The Ordinary, they have high spreadability primer, and I just didn't like either of the primers from The Ordinary, so they're very affordable, but I just found them a bit heavy. And the ones from Niode, I really didn't like those ones either. So I don't know. I have them all, but I just don't love them. So okay, next up, the Urban Decay All Nighter Face Primer. This one's really nice for mattifying skin. It actually does work well for both skin types. This one I use in the spring and summer, although in the summer I really go more heavy on the sunscreen than I do. Today it's snowing like 8 inches, so today's like the first day in like a month where I didn't put any sunscreen on because I'm not even going to leave my house today because it's so friggin' cold and snowy out. So, but this one is really nice. Urban Decay has great primers. Smashbox is the other brand. They have a lot of great primer options. They just re-released new versions of all their primers, so I've not yet tried them. So Smashbox normally would have a few primers on this list, but because they just re-released them all recently, I haven't tried any of the new ones yet. So, okay, next up we've got the Touch in Sol No Poreblem Primer. This one is really smoothing. For me, it's a little bit too mattifying. I like to have a little bit of a radiance or a little bit of a shimmeriness to my skin because it's normally so dry. So this one is, in my opinion, super mattifying, but it works well. And you know what? You can always get this one on sale somewhere at some point, or it's somehow in some beauty box all the time. And then last but not least, the It Cosmetics Oil-Free Your Skin But Better Primer. This one's really nice. I believe it's a dupe for a Glow Recipe moisturizer, but don't count me on that one. But this one's really nice and very mattifying for your skin. So if you're looking for something, and it works really nicely with the other It Cosmetics foundations. They have a good selection. Actually, seems like all my friends use the It Cosmetics foundation, the one in the blue bottle. All of them. I don't know why. I think one friend used it, and then the other one liked it, and then the third one liked it, and then the fourth one, I don't know. So I have it. I don't love it, but they all do. So, okay, so these are my favorites for dry skin. I'm so sorry this is all I have today, but my skin's not super oily. Or I'm sorry, oily skin. Did I just say dry skin? I don't know. Whatever. I'm losing my mind because of the snow. Okay, so that's what I've got for oilier skin. Although the Smashbox ones are great. And then Becca, I had a lot of Becca primers that I loved. However, when the Becca brand ended, Smashbox took them over. I thought for sure they'd keep some of the primers. I don't think they kept any of them. I think they only kept like 2 or 3 products from Becca. So anyway, one of them's the under eye cream. So I don't know.
Why bother taking them over?
Yeah, the primers were my favorite from Becca. I don't know why they didn't keep those, especially the Black Light primer or the Backlit primer or whatever. Okay, so for dry skin, I've got a little bit more selection because my skin is very dry. So, let's see. I'm going to start with the Glossier Priming Moisturizer. They also have a rich version. I prefer this version because it's in the tube. The rich version is in the jar, which I don't love. This one is very nice. No fragrance in it. Nicely hydrating. Works well. It works just like a moisturizer, so I really like to use this one. And then I'll apply my sunscreen over it. And then my foundation works just wonderfully. So, okay, next up, we've got the Too Faced Hangover Primer. I love this one. It's got a coconut oil in there, so might not be very friendly for oilier skin types, but it's nicely hydrating. This one works wonders for me. I also should mention in the same breath the Marc Jacobs Undercover Coconut Primer. However, the Marc Jacobs brand I believe is going away, but this one's still available on certain sites. So if you can pick it up, it's really nicely hydrating. It's very similar to the one from Too Faced. And it's also similar to the Locket from Kat Von D. So these ones I love. It's crazy how many brands start and then go away or new product. I don't know. It's overwhelming, to be honest. Okay, next up. So this brand has a moisturizer. They're Lait Cream Milk Moisturizer, which has been very popular. However, I loved it, but I could not get over the scent of it. Now they have a version for sensitive skin, which has no fragrance and is very hydrating, very hydrating. If you have oily skin, I don't think you want to use this or even touch the bottle because it is over the top. But if you have very, very dry skin, it is very thick. It is a good moisturizer, works nicely under sunscreen or foundation, and very good for drier skin. And I'm very happy they came out with a sensitive version because I liked it. I could not get over that heavy floral scent to the original, but now they've got a good version. Next up, we've got Josie Maran Argan Moon Drops. These work like a primer. She also has her priming balm, which I like. This one, I don't know if it's around still or not. When I Googled it before I did this video, it's still sold at a few places, so I thought it's worth mentioning because it's really nicely hydrating. It's got argan oil, really moisturizing, gives skin a little bit of a shimmer, a dewy finish. So if you can get it, awesome. I don't know what's going on with it, though. All these brands. Release, cut, release, discontinue. Okay, next up, we've got the NYX Marshmellow Primer. This one is really nice. Has no real scent to it. This one, in my opinion, will work well with dry or oilier skin types. And I think it's like $12. I personally didn't like the foundation from this line, but I like the primer. So, pretty affordable. Marshmallow is a great ingredient. It's not like the marshmallow you eat. It's like a root, so... Okay, this one has a little bit of fragrance in it, but I really like it. I'm actually wearing it today under my Dr. Jart BB cream. The Pretty Fresh primer from Colourpop. It has coconut oil in there, so not great for oily or sensitive type skin. And it does have a little bit of fragrance in it. It smells like coconut, and it fades quickly enough that I can get past it. It leaves a really dewy finish and really hydrated, but I really do like it. And I really like the foundation from that line as well. Next up for those Aussies here, the Mecca Max Illuminating Primer. This is like one of the few things I picked up from Australia. I really wish I would have picked much more up, but whatever, nothing I can do about that now. But this one's really nice, illuminating. It's similar to the Smashbox Radiance Primer, and it's similar to the Becca Glow Primer as well. Okay, a couple more. So this is the Ultra Repair Hyaluronic Primer from... the First Aid Beauty brand. I also really like their Smoothie Coconut Skin Primer. However, I think they recently changed that, so I didn't want to mention it yet. First Aid Beauty has now changed ingredient lists for, like, a lot of their products. It's over the top how many products they've recently changed. They changed their coconut water cream. They changed their serum, obviously. They changed their toner. So I didn't want to mention that primer until I had a chance to try the newest version. But this one I still really like. Next up, this one's kind of dry or oily skin. It's the Tatcha Silk Canvas. This one does have fragrance in it. I didn't have luck with the Silk Canvas Balm Primer, but the liquid one I liked a little bit more. It is kind of a slight dewy finish, but it's has a little bit of fragrance in it, but it also really works nicely. Any foundation you put over it will last a little bit longer. And then they have the powder that goes with it as well, which you can use. That powder I found to be a little bit clean to dry patches. And then last but not least, the Too Faced Hangover SPF primer. Similar to their Hydrating primer, just has a little bit of sunscreen in it. So SPF 25, I usually recommend 30 on a daily basis. However, if it's an average day, 20, 25 is just fine. If you're not going to be outside long, it's not very sunny, it's not summer, you're not going to be sweating. You know, it's the middle of winter, 25 is going to be fine. So, although, try to do 30 on a daily basis. But if you're determined not to do it, this one's still a good one. So, anyway, these are my current primer favorites. Interest hearing from you guys. What do you do with your primer? Do you use a primer every day? Do you use sunscreen over it? Do you use sunscreen under it? I'm interested because it seems to be very controversial. A lot of people say you can use your primer right over your sunscreen, but I just have a hard time believing that it does not, dilute it a little bit, because even just applying foundation over a sunscreen can affect it. So, anyway, those are my thoughts today. Leave a comment with yours, and I will see you guys more tomorrow. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.